your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News Weekend Edition.
Hello, I'm Naveen Day. Thanks for joining us for our Week in Review. After a long investigation, police have arrested 22-year-old Philip Matombo of Edmonton, who faces a total of 34 charges in connection with the sexual exploitation of two 15-year-old girls. The charges include human trafficking a person under the age of 18, sexual assault, sexual interference, distributing child pornography, and uttering death threats. Officials say the victims believed they were in a relationship with the suspect.
They believed that they were boyfriend-girlfriend. They thought that their trafficker was in love with them. They were in love with their trafficker. And he really used their emotions to manipulate them and have them believe that what they were doing was for the better good of their relationship and to continue their relationship, make them money so that they can be together. Philip Matombo is a 22-year-old male who is a resident of Edmonton, but he comes from Eastern Canada. He has ties to Toronto. No criminal record prior to this. He's currently in custody in jail because he keeps breaching his conditions and keeps contacting or attempting to contact the victims.
With their investigation, police identified two additional underage girls who Matombo had attempted to lure into the sex trade. This past week, the National Citizens Inquiry was in Red Deer, Alberta. A physician from Ponoka, Alberta, Dr. Gregory Chan, who was a witness at the inquiry, stated that some of his patients experienced a number of concerning side effects upon receiving the COVID-19 vaccine.
Is there anything new prior to you having this symptom like abdominal pain or chest pain? Oh, no, there's nothing there, nothing. Okay, have you had any new treatments? No, nothing. Any vaccines? No, nothing. How about a COVID injection? Oh, yeah, actually now that you mention that, yeah. Like that's a very common thing that I would have experienced. And then you actually have to specifically ask about that particular injection or issue. But at the time, I think people were just carrying on with what they were doing, and they didn't think to link the two together.
The National Citizens Inquiry moves on to Vancouver next. Testimonies will also be heard in Quebec City and Ottawa. In a southern Alberta connection to the National Citizens Inquiry, a Lethbridge woman says she is now considered a person with a vaccine injury after receiving the jab back in 2021. Earlier this week, she shared her story of some of the impacts the vaccine had on her body. As Angela Stewart explains, the woman has also gained quite the following on TikTok after using the social media platform to tell her story.
Inside her home, reading a book to pass the time as she can no longer work, sipping on a hot cup of coffee, and now grueling task. It's been almost 2 years since she got her prognosis.
Came to the conclusion that it was Bell's palsy.
Carrie Sakamoto, an overall healthy person, she, along with her husband, like many, got their COVID-19 vaccines in April of 2021. After the province stopped administering the first doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine, she was left trying to decide on an alternative shot.
With lots of thought, I even spoke to a doctor. We decided to pick Pfizer.
Both became ill shortly after receiving the shot, but only she developed debilitating conditions.
I had started vomiting because it felt like my brain was on fire, and that's the only way to explain it. It was a burning sensation in my head. On the way to emergency, I could see in the side mirror my face felt strange. It felt swollen. And when I looked in the mirror, I actually saw it drop.
She spent 17 days in the hospital, and her condition now serves as a constant reminder that her life will never be the same.
Balance is really bad. My vision in this eye is bad. I have hearing loss. My face is still paralyzed, and it's all permanent.
Wanting to share her story, she turned to TikTok and has gained thousands of followers on the social media platform and has connected with people all over the world.
Women from the UK with very similar symptoms. So, it's been hard to hear a lot of stories. Really sad.
For now, Sakamoto continues to try and make the most of her situation and plans to continue sharing her story in the best way she knows how. For Bridge City News, I'm Angela Stewart.
Sakamoto also had the opportunity to share her testimony at the National Citizens Inquiry when I was in Saskatoon earlier this week. We need to take a quick break, but when we return, we look at how close relationships can affect your health as well as your happiness. We'll be right back.
Let's make a point of having real-time relationships. And when you're with those relationships, keep your technology, keep your cell phone down, away from it, and have a lot of eye contact and engage in conversation. We need that. Why would over 60% say they're lonely?
Welcome back. There are so many who suffer from loneliness, and the COVID-19 pandemic has made that most certainly worse. Dr. Greg Jantz is a psychologist, best-selling author, and founder of The Center, A Place of Hope, one of the top facilities for treatment of depression in America. He chatted with Jeanette Roche about the power of connection, maximizing your health and happiness with close relationships.
Do you think that during the pandemic that maybe people got used to the habit of just connecting with others online instead of making an effort to go meet someone in person instead?
And yeah, there's a place for that, but there's also a place to sit down with somebody, look eye to eye, be able to hug, be able to, be in the same. We know there is something called on social media, there's a digital kind of exhaustion. It takes more energy to be present through a digital means over time. And what we want to do is, hey, you know what? We need one another. Let's make a point. Now, if you have somebody that's a long ways away, I understand that, but let's make a point of having real-time relationships. And when you're with those relationships, keep your technology, keep your cell phone down, away from it, and have a lot of eye contact and engage in conversation. We need that. Why would over 60% say they're lonely? And here's the follow-up question that was asked, which was fascinating. Can you name a close personal friend? Okay, about half could not name a close personal friend. So that's what's happened. We have social anxiety, we've got depression, we have relationships that really are not what they could be, and we really do need each other. I said to my wife, when it boils down to it, really what do we have? We have the quality of our relationships. Let's remember that.
You also write about 5 keys to connection. Can you share with us some of these?
Well, one I like to talk about is the bonding activities, but a key to connection obviously requires time, but it is somebody that we're building trust with, and trust is something that's earned over time. Online, we pretend, and trust is intimate. It's like, oh yeah, they're my best friend, but they're really not. You don't have a relationship with them.
Did you say intimate? I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's not a real thing.
It's not. Yeah. So we look at, okay, what are things that we really have to do? Well, sometimes we have to push ourselves. Sometimes it's go, I just rather stay home and be online or whatever.
Right.
I've got to push myself initially to engage. I've got to put myself in groups or settings where I can begin to experience people, get to know them. Here's what I truly do this. I want to meet somebody new every day. So I'm reminded every day, one person a day. So that's my motto. And that could, yeah, and there's great surprises. So I'm just amazed at really how I believe God just brings people into your life, and you're amazed at who you meet.
Yeah, no, it's really true. Dr. Jantz, I've noticed over the past several years, it seems like younger people in their 20s and teens, it seems like more and more young people are suffering from anxiety and depression, and it's so sad to see. Do you think it's a social media thing? What do you think is contributing to this?
We know it contributed greatly, or does. We also know that kids 10 to 17, there's a lot less physical movement, a lot less exercise. We know that addiction is dropping at younger rates. The average, it's difficult to say, but the average age to exposure to pornography on the internet is about age 9. And so there's a lot of things that are stealing our kids' minds, if you will, early on. There is such thing as a digital addiction. I've seen people who they get sweaty, their heart rate goes up, they get irritable when they can't get to their digital fix. So those kinds of things are real. We're going to see more of it in the coming days. We know that our young people are more addiction prone, they're more impulsive. We see with the advent of this whole thing of AI, artificial intelligence, and how kids are using that. You know, it's changing lives for our young people.
After the break, we go out on location to find the best way to prep an easy meal that's not only good for your gut, but also your brain. That's next. Keep it right here. Welcome back. In this next segment, we meet Alan, a local chef who battled diabetes and is now on a mission to use his experience and culinary skills to promote healthier lives in southern Alberta. With a focus on using whole, nutrient-dense ingredients, Alan creates delicious and nutritious meals that not only taste great, but also support optimal health. Our very own Jeanette Roche visited his kitchen to learn more about the High Q Foods approach to food and healthy living, one meal at a time.
First of all, tell me about High Q Foods. How did this get started? What's your backstory?
Sure. Well, I was type 2 diabetic, 250 pounds. I'd come from a kickboxing background. So I was, cutting weight, putting on weight, cutting weight, coaching guys. And when I stopped doing that, I just kept putting on weight. And turns out I was insulin resistant. That's in my genes. I was my whole life. Couldn't really understand what was wrong. Got tested for type 2 diabetes. And I said, what's type 2 diabetes? And the doctor said, it's high blood sugar. And I was like, well, let's just call it high blood sugar then. But once it got really bad, I decided I better do something about it. And the doctor wanted to put me on medication. I said, just give me 3 months. And in 3 months with food alone, I completely reversed it and have been on this path of shouting from the top of my lungs ever since.
Okay, and it's just all about the food.
All about the food.
Okay, so this kind of, you were like, wow, light bulb going off in your head. Other people need to know about this.
Yeah. Right? And being from like a fitness background, right? And having people cut weight and teach them how to do it, for me and my body type, it was completely wrong. And to be able to learn how food is just that medicine, and what and all the issues that we face with our food manufacturing and what was in the stores, to eliminate all that and live like I have now for 5 years with completely controllable blood sugars, down a bunch of weight, loving life, running in the coolies, and cooking my ass off.
Interesting. Okay, so what are these exactly?
These are steaks. These are 10 ounce, 9 and 10 ounce.
That.
Yeah, I know, it looks like it. So those have come out of the sous vide machine. Okay. They've been in there for an hour and a half, and they're perfect medium rare right now. So we're just gonna get these pans smoking hot, but when you get a pan that bounces, see how the water bounces around like that?
I do.
Well, that means it's not gonna stick. I could do an egg in there and flip it no problem now. So a little bit of oil. Don't put water in the pan after you put oil, you'll have a fire on your hands. And now, because these steaks are literally already cooked, what we're going to do is we're just going to reverse sear them.
So would you say that no two people are the same in terms of how they store their fat, how they metabolize everything? Yeah.
Well, there's such a thing as bioindividuality, right? Like everybody's got 2 arms, 2 legs, 5 fingers, but everybody's gut dysbiosis is a little bit different. And women especially, I mean, they just get the short end of the stick. You guys are way more antibiotics as a rule than men, and that destroys your gut biome. So I make sauerkraut here, fresh sauerkraut, that's in the shelves. The bone broth has got, very, very good stuff for your guts as well. But, if you're high blood sugar versus high cholesterol, or maybe you're underactive thyroid, overactive thyroid, there's all little nuances there to what we can do. So it's not all exact. There's not a cookie cutter, but like 80% of it's the same.
So you're basically just cutting out the fats, you're cutting out the carbs, right?
Well, the fats are, the fats come from, I use the healthy oil in, extra virgin olive oil on the roasted veg. We definitely used, you could use ghee as well, but I used an regular olive oil to saute the onions. Yeah. And then a quick sear on the steak, okay. Right?
You mentioned bone broth.
Yeah.
Do you cook a lot with broth?
I do, and that's how I started. I started taking broth because I found out how good it was for us. And what bone broth is it's grass-fed, grass-finished beef bones or pasture-raised chicken, and you cook that down with basically some veg for 16 hours. And that extracts and leaches a lot of healthy minerals out of the bones, out of the marrow. I mean, it's something that we survived on. 200 years ago, you'd be eating broth right now, right? That's what you would have, and so I use it in all my soups.
And we'd all be real skinny.
And you'd all be real skinny,
Right?
Exactly.
Okay, so Alan, we're talking a lot about this. So what is somebody's first step on their food healing journey, so to speak?
Well, I think two of the greatest things that you can do is cut out sugar and increase your probiotics, right? Really learn what inflammatory oil is. Stay away from seed oils. Really improve that. Cook from scratch as much as you can. That's more than one thing. But number one, I tell everybody, if you have any kind of a weight issue or allergy issues, let's cut out sugar. Number one.
Oh, it's so hard to do that, though.
I know. And I always say hunger is one thing, but craving's another. We really shouldn't crave anything, right? Being hungry is normal. Who cares? Craving something? Something's wrong.
I just want to say thank you so much for having us down here, teaching me how to cook these delicious, nutritious meals. Hopefully, I know I've learned something, definitely. Hopefully our viewers have as well.
Well, thank you. Come and see us. Kitchen is inside the Purple Carrot. Most people don't know. Thanks for coming down.
Up next, it's out of the kitchen and into the ring. Boxing ring, that is. Stay tuned for this next Rock'em Sock'em story. We'll be right back. Continuing on this healthy weekend edition of our show, Jeanette Roche steps into the ring with Olympian and 5-time Canadian boxing champion Rick Duff. He showed her the ropes of boxing, and they talked about how his club is helping people of all ages and backgrounds build strength, confidence, and a sense of community through the sport of boxing. Have a look.
How do you teach somebody to hit but not injure?
Oh, well, they got to have some control. That comes with experience working outside the ring, working with coaches and coaches teaching them, hand position and body position and footwork and hitting the bag, and they learn to. You learn with hitting. You learn to have a little bit of control with that.
Maybe you want to show me a couple of moves, something that you would show maybe women or girls that are coming in just to kind of get their fitness level up and build their confidence a little, and also like how to throw a punch and without hurting somebody or without getting hurt, I guess.
I'm a southpaw, so I'm
So
left-handed.
am
I'm southpaw, left-hander, so. Yeah, so.
Cool, we have that in common. Okay, let's do it. Here he comes. And,
Oh, got your color.
He's got the pink gloves for me because I'm a girly girl. So.
Very first thing is we're going to give you a stance, so then when you get up, it won't be so intimidating when you get up to the boxer, okay? So we're going to stand with our feet shoulder width apart. You're lefty, you're like me. We're going to step with our right foot first. All right? So we're going to be in this position. Our left hand's going to be up on our chin. Right there, and then our right hand's going to be out in front.
Okay.
You want to keep your hands in front of you, your hands,
To protect.
head behind your hands. So you're protected.
Right, exactly.
There you go.
Yeah.
So get this jab going, so you don't throw your jab like this, hurt your elbow. You keep your elbows down when you throw the jab, and you bring it over in this position.
Right.
So that's the rotation of that jab. Put your hip back again, there, right there. So that's going to come down here. We push off that back foot, and it's going to come push. And then the hip, turn the hip. There you go.
Okay.
There you go. Yes.
I'm hitting you. I'm hitting
the
you.
coach's chin. All right, so this is your dummy. You get the hit. Okay, you're gonna name your dummy?
I'll name him, I don't know, Dumbo.
Dumbo, all right. So you're gonna just have your knees bent, and you're gonna step in a little bit, both feet, and then jab. Then step back,
Okay.
and then step back in, jab.
Okay. Right where you were, or does it matter?
You can do it right where I was. Here, let me turn this guy for you.
Or I can move.
Yeah.
That's okay.
All right, step in
Okay,
and
so
jab.
Step in, jab.
Yeah, and then step back. Keep your hands up high. Chin.
Okay.
The left hand's on your chin.
All right.
There you go.
So many things to think about.
Yeah. Okay, as you step, plant, then back.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Ah.
Now let's see a big left hand only. Step in and then left hand.
Okay. Oh, right in his neck. Sorry, Dumbo. I'm sorry. He does not look happy. So you'd mentioned before that you had been injured. A lot of boxers obviously get injured. It's a very physical, dangerous sport. So if somebody wants to get back into the ring, or not even, just kind of rehabilitate themselves, almost like a physiotherapy, can you adapt their program around?
You know what? I've made that commitment to help, people that have injuries. I do have people that come in that they anxiety to depression to injuries, and it is so good for people. Parkinson's, I've done a couple of Parkinson's people.
Wow.
So I think I'm going to get my complete course and bring Parkinson's back into the gym.
I don't know, Rick. So do you think I'm ready to get in the ring now and start competing?
I think that you'll stand a good chance of surviving in the ring, yeah.
Ooh, I don't know about that, but thank you so much for showing me these moves. It was a lot of fun, and I think everyone needs to come and check it out. Check out something that you're not used to. Definitely, I wasn't used to this. Get out of your comfort zone. Okay, so we are at Lethbridge Boxing Club. This is Rick Duff, 5-time champion and former Olympian. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, if you are a big country music fan, you won't want to miss what's coming up after the break. We hear from a Juno award-winning musician who's putting on a big show at a small venue in southern Alberta. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Canadian country music singer Brett Kissel is making a stop in the town of Carson this evening. The St. Paul, Alberta native says he's never had the opportunity to perform in Carson up until now. He says he prefers performing at smaller, more intimate venues as opposed to the much bigger stadiums.
I love being able to see everybody. So when we're playing to, probably around just 1,000 people, in Carson is all we've got capacity for. It's going to be really, really great to have that connection. And connection is very, very important in my world and in my business. So getting a chance to play a smaller venue, often people, what a crowd may lack in numbers, they make up for in enthusiasm. So sure, it may be a small crowd, but it's going to be a mighty crowd. And that's why I'm really excited that, anybody who wants to travel from, Lethbridge or from any of the surrounding communities, this is an opportunity to see me in a setting that is going to be a lot more intimate and a lot more face-to-face than probably anything else I'm going to do this year.
Kissel performs at the Carson High School this evening. A Lethbridge man is running across Alberta to raise awareness and funds for Autism Speaks Canada. The incredible part is he's hoping to do it in only 96 hours. The goal for the initiative is to raise just over $22,000. Video journalist Micah Quinn caught up with Austin Sedgwick on the road just past Medicine Hat via Zoom to ask him why he's putting his best foot forward for such a good cause.
Austin Sedgwick started his long trek at the Alberta-BC border on April 22nd and will end at the Saskatchewan border on the 26th.
It was actually live for the first couple of days. I was holding my phone on my Instagram. It was supposed to be a live run the whole time, but I'm just way too exhausted to do it this last day. So just kind of updating people would honk and say woohoo or whatever. And then you get the other side where people honk and be like, get off the road kind of thing,
Sedgwick says the run works entirely off of people making donations.
I thought I was going to have more breaks than I have. But so it's every 2 hours. So I had a couple of leg breaks where I sat down and I was live. And I just said, this is the point in my run where I need a donation to come through. And basically it's any amount. People just donate whatever they want, and then I start running again.
So far, the run has raised over $5,000 of its $22,000 goal. Sedgwick highlighted what his training regime looked like before undertaking the run.
I ran a little bit here and there, but then I did 5 marathons in 5 days. And then I said, oh, that's good enough. And now here we are, and I'm really paying the price for it. So my girlfriend has to force my knees up in the every morning, and then I can get going again, kind of just like a kid, man, getting the rust out. And then once I get going, it's good again. So
for more information or to donate to the run, you can visit Sedgwick's Instagram page. For Bridge City News, I'm Micah Quinn.
It was exactly 120 years ago to this date of Canada's deadliest rock slide. Frank Slide showcases the catastrophic damage that was caused when limestone rocks rained down on the community of Frank here in Alberta. As video journalist Micah Quinn explains, the slide has a very rich history.
In the early morning hours of April 29, 1903, the small community of Frank had 110 million tons of limestone rock crash down onto its sleeping residents. The area housed 600 people, and more than 90 were killed during the rock slide.
After the slide came down, the coal mine got blamed for the rock slide coming down. But scientists today, even back then, they said that coal mining was a contributing factor, but not the factor that set it off. It was the internal structure, and then the freezing and thawing on the night the slide came down was the reason it came down on that night.
A total of 17 miners were trapped during the slide, and after 12 to 13 hours of digging their way through coal, they were able to get out.
Meanwhile, the people in town that come over where the mine was, it's just all rocks. And they go, oh, they're dead. So they kind of made a token effort to try and get in, but they didn't really. But 13 hours later, the men popped out of this little hole above, and they looked down and they saw all this destruction, but they were safe. So the people in town were very excited that these people survived.
The slide was so loud, it was said that people from as far away as Cochrane and Calgary could hear it. Scientists say another rock slide from Turtle Mountain is unlikely to happen in our lifetime.
And what they think, after looking at all of this data, is South Peak will come down, but probably in the next few thousand years. And it likely won't come down as one piece. It'll come down as 4 or 5 good-sized pieces that will only come partway down the mountain.
To put the rock slide into perspective, it's said that you can build a wall 1 meter wide and 6 meters high from Victoria, British Columbia to Halifax, Nova Scotia using the rocks that fell from Turtle Mountain. For Bridge City News, I'm Micah Quinn.
You know, many do not know that we enjoy a diverse cultural scene here in southern Alberta. From gallery exhibits to festivals, concerts, theater performances, and much more. Up next, we chat with one of the many people behind our thriving scene.